Hello friend, this is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com, and for this Reseller Friday I want to talk to you about how to avoid the reseller rut to make more money. There's this rut people get into as a reseller, and this can happen in any business, but specifically I want to talk about reselling because I see this happen a lot. And I think part of this is because a lot of resellers are coming from where they worked for other people, they were employees, they never had any business success or never really ran a business at any point. So in many cases, these are people coming from a position where they were told what to do and they did it. Instead of having to be the person in control and having to tell yourself, give yourself commands to go out and implement. And so it can easily devolve into where they get into a rut. They're doing the same things over and over. They're never growing, they're never adapting, they're never maturing, and it doesn't make their business do very well. And I'll give you an example. I saw yesterday a gentleman was posting about how he has days that are hundreds of dollars in sales and he has days that are zero. Now, this is very important to note. I'm not criticizing anybody for having a $0 sales day. Not at all. Everybody's got to start somewhere. And when you're a new beginner, you might have many days of $0 sales days. I get that. This particular individual has been reselling for many, many years. And for many, many years, they have been talking about how they have these days where they have $0 sales days and they have $500 sale days or $1,000. There's a problem here, and this individual does not recognize it. And so for years, they're in this rut of big sales, zero sales. And I'll tell you something, I've been selling for decades. I can't tell you the last time I had a $0 sales day. It's been probably decades ago. You should be, as a reseller, growing and adapting, getting better inventory, listing it in a way that is more likely to attract the customer that wants that item, providing the best service, the best product for those customers so you get great feedback and people come back and buy from you again if you're in a niche. But so many people are stuck in these ruts. They're just doing the same thing over and over again and hoping for a different result. That old quote about insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. They're in that insanity loop as a reseller, doing the same things, getting the same pitiful results, sometimes good results, but oftentimes they're back to zero again. And what I want to encourage you to do, and it's going to be hard, even though it's actually very easy to do, it's simple, there's nothing difficult or complex about it, but you have to set aside 5 or 10 minutes a day. Doesn't have to be a long time. You can do longer, of course. But just to thinking about your business, thinking about your processes, thinking about the items you're getting, thinking about how you list them, thinking about how you photograph them, thinking about your business and ways you can improve it. Now, this is not so you can just go and change everything around, because even if you're having $0 sales days and you're having this fluctuation back and forth, really good sales, really terrible sales, that doesn't mean everything you're doing is wrong or everything you're doing is not working correctly, so you got to change it all. Not at all, my friend. But there is something in your process that's not good. And for most people, it's the inventory they're buying. They keep buying the same stuff they used to buy a decade ago. And it had some demand back then, but the demand has been going down, down, down. And they're still buying the same stuff at the same levels, listing it at the same levels, and expecting the same results. And of course, it's not coming in because there's not as much demand for that item, or there's both not as much demand and there's an influx of sellers selling the same items, which means the prices are going to drop. There's going to be fewer sales possible divided among those sellers, presuming everybody's at the same level and has the same quality of item and the same price. It is easy as a reseller to get in a rut because you don't have anyone looking over your shoulder critiquing what you're doing, anyone to challenge you on your errors, anyone to say, hey, that's wrong, or anyone to say, hey, why don't you try this instead? You keep selling these products over here and you see the market's going down, down, down. Why would you keep buying them? Why don't you pivot into another area? You know, in business is very interesting. The people who I've known who become great successes have all pivoted. very often their business started in one area and they pivoted to another area. Amazon.com is one of the best examples of this because it started as a bookstore and it pivoted into being the everything store. And now not only is it an everything store, other people can sell on it. So it's a marketplace. It has created a big, massive marketplaces for people to sell items all over the world. But that wouldn't have happened if Jeff Bezos decided, oh, we're going to stay a bookstore. You know, we're going to do that old saying, stick to our knitting. I've heard that phrase, stick to your knitting, so many times from people who read that old book. And it probably was good back in the 80s. But the people are going to be really successful, not just trying to be average, not trying to be a little bit better than average. You got to adapt. And if what you're doing is not working for a long enough period of time, I'm talking about if you have one bad day. But if you're day in and day out having consistent problems and year in and year out having the same issues over and over again, and you haven't figured out why, you have to set aside some time to think, to meditate, to pray, to seek God's wisdom, and then actually take action on the wisdom He gives you. You can't just keep doing the same things, being stuck in your rut, and then expecting different results. The only different results you're going to get if you're stuck in a rut is probably worse results. Because the marketplaces are constantly adapting, the customers' desires and needs are adapting and changing. And if you're just trying to supply this need that used to exist, and the amount of people wanting that item is dwindling day by day, you're going to run yourself out of business. Or, at best, you're going to just struggle. And that's not where you need to be. I daily think about my business. I daily think about my processes. I daily think about where I put things. So, for example, a camera taking photos to list, where is it put? Do I need a different light? Would the background being put over here work better? Now, it doesn't mean I make any changes, because sometimes what I'm doing is absolutely perfect. It's doing exactly what needs to be done, but I at least want to think about it. I at least want to ponder, is there a different way to do this that would actually be better and either make my processes more efficient, make the customer happier, make the item look better and be more presentable, and that would cause more people to find the items that I have that they would be blessed by. But you need to dedicate yourself to daily thinking about your business, daily thinking about your sourcing habits, daily thinking about where you're sourcing, daily thinking about the things you're sourcing, and thinking about all your processes in your business, and can you improve upon them? Can you do it in a better way that will, in the end, earn you more money? And that will help you stay out of that rut, where you'll never get in that rut again, because you're constantly adapting as the marketplaces require it, as your customers require it. So if you've been selling one type of item and the market is dwindling on that, you pivot into another category of item and improve. I know there's a lot of negative resellers out there whining and complaining about this is bad and that's bad. They'll blame eBay, they'll blame Amazon for their low sales, not the fact that they're buying items that people don't want, or they're trying to sell them for too high of a price, or their listings are terrible so people can't even find the item if they wanted to. Everybody loves to blame the marketplaces. But the reality is, it's your business. You're only using these marketplaces to sell your products on. They're not your business. You have to constantly be in your business, working and improving and really thinking about the things you're doing so you don't get stuck in the reseller rut, and instead you're constantly improving, adapting, and your business is growing day in and day out, year over year. You're not going to be like this individual I was talking about who year after year is talking about the same problems, and he's never fixed the problem. He's never even come close to realizing what's going on. He just keeps in the rut. And that's reseller after reseller after reseller gets stuck in these ruts, and they refuse to adapt. Because while it's easy, while it's very simple, it makes people uncomfortable. They don't want to think about their business. They don't want to adapt and change things. They feel comfortable and at ease in the rut they're in. It's what they've been doing for years now. It works all right. Why would I change it? Well, if it is working fine, you don't need to change it. But if things are not aligning to where you want to go and you don't have growth in your business, you need to take the time to think about your business. Meditate on all your processes, meditate on your inventory and how you're sourcing in the first place, and adapt as you get the wisdom from God about what you need to be changing and what you need to be improving upon. And maybe some things you're doing perfectly and you need to double up your effort in that area. Maybe there's no problem as far as what you're doing, but you need to put in more effort. And my friend, in that particular situation, I would encourage you to get my book, Work Smarter and Harder, because it'll encourage you in that endeavor and realizing you just need to work harder. But whatever you do, my friend, don't allow yourself to get stuck in this reseller rut. Snap out of it. Make changes as needed and improve your business and watch as you become a great reseller success. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.